Man, I'm home. I love cat sitting, not at all, but I had a good time out in Nashville. But I haven't filmed a video in a long time, but I have some great news. So I'm actually buying my first property tomorrow. I'm closing tomorrow. And how that happened is a good story, which I'll share, of course. And then the day after, I'm closing on a $17,000 wholesale deal. So, man, I haven't been putting videos out, but I'm working. So remember I told you guys a long time ago about that property that's 7 minutes by my house. I've been working on it for like a month. I finally got it to the closing table. We're closing on Wednesday, so I'm really excited about that. Now, this property I'm buying, let me tell you about this. So it's a foreclosure, of course, because that's what I focus on. That's what I'm good at. So I call him up. It's an old couple. This guy's 81 years old, stage 4 cancer. He lives with his wife, who's like she's old too. She's not 81, but she's old too. And I put it out there and try to wholesale it. Try to wholesale it for $20,000, right? The initial entry fee was around 13%. The house was in a lot worse condition than what we talked about on the phone. So I actually walked the property with a buyer, and I'll get into that. But the property looked like they were rehabbing some of it. It's kind of like a slow rehab, right? So all the carpets in the house needed to be taken up, and you can see where they did that in certain rooms. Excuse me. And they also redid the bathrooms. So the bathrooms are good, and some of the flooring are brand new. Has stainless steel appliances, everything. So I walked it with the buyer, and so the house forecloses on the 31st. I wanted to get a decision on Friday, and I didn't want to blast it out. I didn't want to try to push it anymore because nobody was jumping on it. I thought it was a smoking deal, but nobody was jumping on it. And once I finally got a buyer in there and was understanding how buyers were looking at it, it made sense. Also, it was hard to push it because I didn't have pictures of it. Again, this guy was 81 years old, stage 4 cancer. So pictures just weren't happening on this one. So I get down there with the buyer, meet the buyer there. We walk through and we step outside and just start talking about it. And he's telling me like, hey, I could maybe give you $5,000 and reinstate with no cash to the seller. And, I'll give them 30 days to vacate. And I was like, I made a relationship with these people. I don't want to just be like, hey, yeah, get out. Like, y'all got 30 days. I'm not going to put any money in your hand. And also they're going to give me $5K, which me at this time in my life, $5,000 is kind of a waste of my time. So all this work for $5,000, it wasn't really worth it. So I tell the buyer, I'll let you know what they say. And I sit down with the sellers. We were sitting there for like 2 hours, and they were telling me basically their whole life story, and I loved it. And I told them, like, look, guys, like, I really want to help you out. You guys have got yourself in a bad situation, though, because what happened is they refinanced about a year ago, and they refinanced so they could pay off all their bills. So they don't have a great interest rate. It's a little under 4%. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's a little under 4%, and they have no equity in the house because they refinanced at the peak of the market. So their 80% that they got, that's how much the house is worth now. So there's just no equity there. And they were telling me like, yeah, I don't really know where we're gonna move, blah, 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 so I wanna stay, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, look, guys, this is what I could do. I could pay to reinstate it. You could claim the deed over to me, and I'll let you guys stay in the house and continue to pay, your average, well, not your average, but the mortgage payment now. And now people are like, man, if they were behind, how can they pay the mortgage now? So what they did, and I asked the same question, I'm like, where's that money coming from? The reason why they got behind is because when they started the chemo treatments for the man, he had to pay like $30,000 out of his pocket, out of his savings, and that set them back. And now they're back on track, but they couldn't start making payments because they're already so far behind. And they were a little, I think it was like $14,000 to reinstate. So it wasn't too bad, but it was too much for someone who doesn't have it. So they were like, man, I can make the payments now, I just can't reinstate. And I was like, you know what, if you quit claiming the property over to me, just keep making your payments and we'll leave it at that. And they were a little hesitant at first, like, man, what if I quit claiming the property over to you and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm gonna sell this house from under them and kick them out. I'm not gonna do that to them. And I also have the paperwork written out to where that's not gonna happen. It protects them. And it's funny, they gave me a call today and I was like, hey, did you guys get a chance to look over the paperwork? I'm gonna be there tomorrow with, have you guys sign it with the notary and everything. They're like, yeah, I just have a question. What if in like 2 years or something, I want to downsize, I want a smaller house? Am I like contractually, however you say it, obligated to live in this property? And I'm like, absolutely not. The contract is there, and the way I have it written is to protect you, right? So I have the deed is in my name. So I have the deed. If you guys want to live there for the rest of your life and continue to pay, have at it. If you don't and you want to leave after 3 or 4 years, that's cool. Then I'll deal with the property. I have a few exit strategies once that happens. So, by all means, hell, I would like it if you left in 4 years, because then I can start making money on that property. But it's just so funny because I was talking to my friend Ashley, and my whole plan was to wholesale. And then I ran into a situation where I could hold on to a property, but I'm really doing it more because I'm going to be able to help this family out that I sat down with and connected with. I'm going to be able to help them out. And I also have a property, right? All the equity is mine. Everything is mine. So I'm 23 years old. Why not buy a property for $14,000 now? Like, why not? It's in a good area. Why not? It can't hurt me in the long run. So I'm gonna purchase that one. But anyways, back to that. So I don't know if I've ever told you guys, but I have an investment group with me, my brother, and my friends. So there's 5 of us. And the way we structured it was $1,000 to start. And then every month on the 23rd, we each put $100 into this account. We've been growing it, right? We've been growing that account. It's over $10,000, and we've also private lended $5,000 to one guy. So we have money just circulating around. So I contacted them, I'm like, hey, would you guys pay half of this so you guys would be entitled to half the equity or half the cash flow, or however we do it? And they're like, yeah, why not? Instead of having our money sit in a bank account, have it sit in a property. I feel like that would be better than sitting there doing nothing. So I got my guys on board. They have 41.5% equity in the property, and I have all the rest. They're entitled to 41.5% equity or cash flow or anything we plan on doing with the property, or both, So that was cool, getting them on board. And it was really more like I could get it myself, but I wanted to help this group grow. So if I come across an opportunity where, I can help this group a little bit, and I'm in the group, so I'm helping myself as well, why not? So that was really cool. So shifting over to this property in Murfreesboro, it was that guy that I knocked on his door. I think I posted a video of me in the car with somebody, and we went by it. So it's funny, I was sitting down with him, and it's him and his ex-wife. His ex-wife is the real negotiator, and he's just kind of there, or so I thought the first day. The second day, he was the one who was like, yeah, I need this, da da da. He was running the show, and this guy writes down 35K, 35K. That's it, and underlines it on like a scrap piece of paper, and just slips it to me while we're talking. And I look at it and I just started busting out laughing. We have a really good relationship. It was really funny. So he was dead set on his 35. So I found somebody who was willing to pay $252,000 Okay. $252,000 to buy this property. Found somebody to buy it. Now, they want $30,000 to walk away. His paper said 35. I got him at 30. So they wanted 35. I mean, they wanted 30. They want 30. It's 220 to reinstate. I have a buyer at 252. What does that tell you? That I would get a wholesale fee of $2,000. Now, this is some bad wholesaling right here. This is real bad. I was like, yeah, $2,000? Oof, man. And the guy who, and it's funny, the guy who gave me that offer, he would just close on it and then relist it on the MLS for $299.9. So he even told me, he's like, hey, if I were you, I would just close on it with cash. Again, I don't have 250 grand in cash to close on it myself. So he was like, just close on the cash and list it for $299.9. I'm like, yeah, I don't got that, man. So he's like, well, that's what I'm doing. I'll be in it at 250. So again, I got that $2,000 out of him just because I wanted to make something. But then I remember, I'm like, I have another buyer with my friend Colby out in Nashville. So I'm like, shit, let me just run it by them. And this was a cash deal with the one dude. I ran by them. They're like, yeah, we'll buy it, but sub 2. I was like, okay. So I'm starting to look at it. I'm like, okay. I ran sub 2 by them at first. They weren't against it, but they'd rather just pay it all off. But I'm going to come to them with their 30K and be like, hey, look, we're going to do it sub 2. Here's your money. And I'm just going to lay it out in front of them. I got the quick claim deed. I have everything. So it'll all be good. So that's going to happen on Wednesday. I'll bring it over to them. We're going to do sub 2. Now, back to the story, because I kind of got off. So the person who I was like, hey, I'll buy it. They were like, I'll buy it sub 2. I'm like, okay, cool. So my girl Kobe asked me, hey, what do you think, what do you think your fee would be? Well, I look at the entry and just reinstating it. The property ARV is $415. And I got that from the buyer who was walking it. It's $415, but the property needs $100 to $100K worth of work. It's just completely outdated. It needs that much work. It's completely livable as it is right now, but to get it up to, the 2023 standard, you definitely need to put about $100 to $120K worth of work into it. So I was like, okay, getting into a property, 405, entry fee would be this, blah, blah, blah. $17,000. Now, did I pull that out of a hat? A little bit, but I also used it based on the entry fee. So I think with $17,000, I think the entry fee goes around 14.9%. And these guys, they're like, look, I don't got no kids. I don't have a wife. I got a bunch of money from these businesses. I just want to gobble up properties so that in 30 years, I can sell them all and retire a multi-millionaire. So they're not super price motivated. They're not trying to crunch and get the best deal. They'll overpay for some properties just because they know it's in a great area. And this one is in a great area. It's right next to a college. It's perfect. So they're like, yeah, I'll give you 17 grand for it. I was like, smooth. Well, when can we do the paperwork, man? Because we're not even going through a title company. So I've made a relationship with them that's so good is that this deal, we'll just have them quit claim it and we'll just hand them cash. So we'll hand them cash, quit claim the deed into his name, and he'll just write me a check. Simple as that, right? We don't got to go through a title company. They don't have to pay escrow fees. They don't have to pay anything because they know how to do it. It's with these sub 2s. So he's just going to write me a check. Now people are going to be like, oh, beware of that. People, So I've worked with him before. He's written me a check before, so I trust him. Also, I'm really good friends with somebody who works for him, and me and her we gel real good. So I trust them with my life essentially. But yeah, those are the two things that are cooking up. My time in Nashville, there was just not good places to sit down. My office was the couch. I hated it. So did I do as much work as I should have? Absolutely not, because I couldn't stand the setup. That's not an excuse. I made you know, good use of that. The deal that I told you I'm buying, I actually got that lead while I was on that Nashville couch. So everything worked out, but it just wasn't home like this. You see my chair, man. You see my purple light back there. Come on, man. I got my monitors in front of me. I got my handy dandy whatever this is. This is where I need to be. So I'm gonna get back in the saddle. I'm gonna get back to recording videos. I'm gonna get back to telling y'all what I'm doing, and I'm gonna get back to telling y'all to do some more, you know, just all that, right? You know. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. I appreciate y'all checking out the video. Hey, look, I don't ever do this. Ever. I'm sure you can watch all my videos. I've never done this before. But hit the like and the subscribe button and all that other fancy stuff they be saying. I'm not gonna be the dude who says that at the beginning of every video and at the end of every video. But HBO, help a brother out.